and a high number of asymptomatic people. And these people seem, at least from the current research, to be responsible in large part for the rapid spread of the virus, in the sense that people would be infected, and before they show any symptoms, they are already spreading the virus. And two, that some people don't show any symptoms at all and they still spread the virus. So this virus is invisible. No one can claim that they don't have the virus. No one on the planet, without the test to prove it. And tests, of course, are only 60% accurate. So we're dealing with a very special situation, a very complex problem. And there have been three types of global responses to the virus. The first type of response has been negligence and denial. And this has, in a large part, been driven by this narrative that the virus will go away by itself, or that the virus is just another flu, and that no measures need to be put in place, that people will be able to deal with it, late reactions, very limited reactions. And this has led, of course, to a very, very dire economic as well as public health situations around the world. And some of these countries, I would argue, are Brazil, United States, and a number of others. The second type was early and aggressive. So these were the countries that acted early, or relatively early, at least relative to the others, and they acted very aggressively. So this includes countries like Singapore, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand, who were able to move quickly. They were able to put in place comprehensive measures and aggressively lock down, but also be able to put the right measures to be able to actually stop the spread of the virus. And the third type of intervention, which has been more rare, is what I would call the controversial type of intervention, which was implemented by Sweden, aiming for herd immunity. Now we're starting to see evidence, or at least talk, that this strategy was mistaken, and partly because it was based on information that wasn't set in stone, or at least was moving quickly, a rapidly developing situation. And Sweden chose to take the more risky approach, and as a result has a much higher mortality rate despite its population. And when compared to its neighbors, the health outcomes are quite horrendous. And this was based on the premise that they can achieve herd immunity. But the evidence seems to suggest that herd immunity is not going to be possible, because some people are getting reinfected, because achieving herd immunity at that level would involve the deaths of millions. So these are the three types of interventions that we have seen, more or less. Of course, there are variations of these, but overall, I would categorize them. And as a result, we're in a new reality. The world has changed so dramatically over the past few weeks, and this has taught us many things. The first thing it's taught us is that it has exposed and exacerbated many of the problems that we've already had. This is very important. And it is re-emphasized what experts have been saying for years. So I just want to list some aspects that this pandemic has impacted almost everything. Let's talk about the mental health epidemic, the fact that people are stuck at home, and this is severely impacting their mental health dynamics. And suicide rates are up, as well as other mental health issues. The gender dynamics, which is that domestic violence is up. It shows the importance of public health and the way it impacts public health, including testing, hospitals, nurses, social protections, being able to actually provide funding for families that have lost their job during the pandemic. So it's good for the economy, it's necessary for public health. It's exacerbated social inequality, or at least exposed social inequality at a higher level. For example, in the United States, the Black and Hispanic communities are dying at much higher rates. And in India, for example, migrant workers are dying at much higher rates. It has exposed the wealth inequality in our system. In the same month that Jeff Bezos added $300 billion to his wealth at the height of the pandemic, 500 billion people are essentially descending towards poverty. We're talking about an impact also on climate change. We saw that there has been 7% or approximately 7% decline in emissions. And in fact, we're going to need that every single year, 7% decline in emissions in order to even be in line with the Paris target. So it shows that what scale of change we need to be able to address climate change. Biodiversity, we're seeing nature coming alive, and it just exposes how badly we've been exploiting nature, and that if we're more careful, nature can bounce back, but not beyond a certain point. It shows a role of education, how it's critical for families, critical for students. It shows how important it is to be able to respond to changing dynamics of education, such as online education. Food security, looking at hoarding, going to the supermarket, it exposes the issue of access. Pollution, we're seeing clearer skies. Cities, it shows how vulnerable cities are. It shows the importance of innovation and how important it is to accelerate the work on vaccines. It has impacted works and jobs, the importance of remote work, valuing essential workers, reimagining jobs of the future, its impact on international aid and development, how it will be cut, and many, many, many other aspects. So as you can see, you can almost see the pandemic affecting every aspect of life, but I would say in many ways it has exposed or deepened our analysis or our understanding of those issues because it has brought them to the surface. So we're dealing with a very complex issue, and it shows us one thing, which is that how fragile the global system is, how unpredictable, how interconnected, and how challenging the future that we have ahead of us is. So where to from here and what now? Firstly, we must have that realization that this is a new reality that we are in, and that's very important to recognize. This new reality shows us how vulnerable we are as a global society. But that new reality has also created opportunities, and it has brought to surface some of the issues that have been at the core of society. And this also provides an opportunity. But we have to understand that the decisions that we take now in the next few months are going to shape the future. This pandemic has many implications, right? And we know that these implications are very important to address. But we know that from previous pandemics, what an incredible and extraordinary impact pandemics can have on social transformation in the future. So we know, firstly, in order to we must first solve this pandemic. We must first be able to safeguard people, be able to protect and safeguard our economies, and be able to actually respond effectively. And lessons from previous pandemic shows that we need to act early. We need to act aggressively. So it's better to overreact than underreact. We need to be honest with people and be clear to them about their stage of the lockdown and the scale of the problem. We need to safeguard the most vulnerable people. We need to support essential workers, as we can see, the whole economy is functioning on their backs. And we need to put in place the right and the most effective policies for contact tracing, isolation, and testing. So this is about our response to the pandemic, so that we can able to recover more quickly and stop the economic decline, and in particular not to reverse the decades of progress we've made in international development and in economic development. Right now, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and many other institutions are very worried about the impact that this pandemic is going to have on jobs, on poverty rates and on development agenda, as well as on the future of the global economy, and rightly so. And so our ability to bounce back from this is in large part going to determine whether this is going to be a long recession or that we're able to bounce back quickly. So that should be our first priority, bouncing back. But meanwhile, we should also really cultivate and essentially embrace the vision of building back better. And I think this has also provided a great opportunity. There has been a recent study by the Smith School of Enterprise and Environment at the University of Oxford. I believe the study was led by Sir Nicholas Stern, Joseph Stiglitz, and Professors Cameron Hepburn and a number of others. And the study is a comprehensive assessment of the global economy. And their conclusion essentially is that one of the most effective ways to bounce back from the pandemic economically is through green jobs. They essentially argue that by investing in the renewable energy sector and in sustainable cities, and as well as the renewable market, that we can create jobs and as a way to respond to the pandemic and make the economy bounce back. But at the same time, it also puts us on a trajectory to be able to comply with the requirements of the Paris Agreement and other international mechanisms for climate change. And of course, create more safe and resilient societies in the longer term. So the number one thing is that green jobs seem to be, according to this study, one of the most effective and quickest ways to bounce back economically. So directing investments away from fossil fuel industry and fossil fuel subsidies and towards the green technology sector is going to be very important for our response as well as our future direction. Secondly, there is, I think, a increasing need for creating a more inclusive growth. So in other words, social protections through taxes and what some call universal basic income. In other words, that we're able to, at the very least, safeguard economically the people and citizens of countries so that they are not reliant just on jobs to be able to survive, which wouldn't force them to go out and work and spread disease and create a vicious cycle where the economy collapses further and creates more issues. So I think this is very, very important. And this in large part can be funded through taxes and other financial mechanisms as such, but it really reflects the principle that we need to be able to grow inclusively, and not just a few at the top, but everyone as a whole. And this is not just a moral thing to do, but it's a necessary thing to do to safeguard and make our societies more resilient. The importance of public health and being able to actually create effective public health systems to create safety, and being able to actually invest in those safety measures and public health measures. And finally, preparation, making us prepared for a future. This pandemic has created many challenges, but this is not the only challenge. The impacts of climate change are really going to outweigh, and the impacts of biodiversity collapse. These are really, really going to challenge the future that we have in front of us. So resilience, it is building the right mechanisms, in particular education, being able to train the next generation of people on the challenges of the future and teaching them critical skills and values which will enable them to respond to these challenges, but also shape a sustainable future. And here, I think that us as young people have a critical role to play. Our sheer numbers, which account for half of the population of this planet, the fact that we are going to be account for 75% of the global workforce. The fact that we are launching twice as many enterprises as our other counterparts, which is going to be very important for creating jobs. The fact that we have a moral duty, and we seem to practice it pretty effectively, that we would like to work for industries and for organizations and companies that are ethically sustainable and are committed to people and planet and human rights, and which encourages the behaviors of those firms, at least in part. But also we're more committed to community service, to the belief in science, and the idealism of being able to actually build a more sustainable future. I think these incredible qualities, so our numbers, our idealism, and our creativity, and our underlying beliefs and attitudes, make us, I believe, incredible agents of change. So we have this incredible potential. But I think the thing that young people lack are effective support systems that encourage them, support systems that teaches them the knowledge, that teaches them basic skills, and is able to actually connect them together and show them a path. Because where do you start from? There are many places to start from. And of course, there are young people who are extraordinary, who don't need any of those things, or they go on to acquire those things because of existing connections or family wealth, or just because of their pure intellect. But that's not how you create an effective ecosystem, not based on the exceptions. You create an effective ecosystem based on the ordinary. And it is my belief that it is not the exceptions that will come to define and change and create sustainable transformation, but it is what I would say the ordinary. And I think it's very important for us as leaders to be able to create the programs, SDSN Youth being one of them, but there are others obviously out there, which can continue to support young people and community leaders and community advocates to learn about these issues, gain the skills, and be able to put in place the right mechanisms to be able to actually transform and put us on the right path. And of course, this is more urgent now than ever. And this is what SDSN Youth is committed to do. But we've got our work cut out for us. If we play our cards right, I think the gains are going to be incredible. But we have a battle in front of us and a tough road ahead, but at the same time, an exciting road. And I hope that together, all of us, as Nigerian youth, Australian youth, and young people from around the world, we can work together, learn from each other, and move quickly to use the opportunities created here to push the ideas and policies and the changes that we need as a global society. And with that, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. That was quite elaborate, instructive, and profound. Thank you. Can we please have Femi's presentation, and after that, we take our questions and answer. Sam, I hope you're not in a hurry.
No, I have about, I would say about 15, 20 minutes left.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, let's quickly have Femi, and then we come back to question and answer.
No rush. I can try to extend it a little bit more as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. So Femi, you can please start your presentation.
Okay. Oh, I'm about to share my screen now. My presentation would not be long, so there'll be time to ask questions, and Sam will still be with us by then.
Okay, so sorry, a quick one before you start. People can send their question into the chat room. If you have questions, please send it into the chat room so that after Femi's presentation, we just quickly take all of the questions at once. Femi, you can please continue.
All right, please. Once you can see my screen, I would like you to let me know once you can see my screen. I shared my screen. Can everyone view my screen? Can you view my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I was delighted when I was presented this topic to talk about this topic to talk about youth and technology, the symbiotic relationship for achieving the SDG goals. So when I got the topic, what I really wanted to talk about first, that came to my mind was really talking about the internet and how we can enhance the power of the internet and everything like that. But it really occurred to me that there have been a lot of webinar around this COVID-19 period that that's really talked about skills that you should get and what skills you should get and why you should get these skills and all of that. So instead, I decided to really focus on the topic and try to see if I can provoke our thought and motivate us um, about youth and technology. So a little about me. My name is Oluwafemi Alofe. I've been a software engineer for about 6 years plus. Um, I've had experience with Legatel startup and produce technology. Um, I've worked at IETA, International Tropical Agriculture. Um, I'm part of a sea tracker team. And last year, we won one of the winners of the Google Impact Challenge. And then during my years of coding, I've remotely freelanced for 2 UK startups. And currently, I'm the founder and CTO of Corpreneur, an online savings and investment platform driving financial literacy and inclusion for Nigerian youth. So one thing that a lot of people miss, right, is failing to understand that technology alone is not enough, right? And this was a quote from Steve Jobs, 2003, saying technology alone is not enough. The best idea emerges from the intersection of technology and humanities. Just knowing how to build a system, just knowing to be a developer, knowing how to code or knowing how to build stuff is not enough. In its own, doesn't do nothing, right? It doesn't really help on its own. But then it's until technology crosses humanities with day-to-day life, with how people have been struggling. That's when things happen. So Steve Jobs, during the early days of Pixar Image, right? Um, they came up with a computer, Pixar Image computer. It's worth about $125,000. It's a machine that worth that much, and that's 1990. So for a machine to worth $125,000 by 1990, you will know it's a lot, right? So what this does is create animated images and things like that, right? So over the years, up until 1990, the company lost about 8.3 million US dollars, right? But then Steve Jobs was now able to, he looked at what they had and what needed to be done in order to make things happen. That was when Pixar animation was born, right? And by 1995, Pixar Animation was successful. Between the area of 5 years, it was able to be a successful company. And then I'm sure we're familiar with animation movies like Cars and Coco. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Cars and Coco, you would know that these are very, very inspiring animated movies that are like very beautiful, right? So until you realize that technology is enough, and then technology really has to cross humanity in order to build stuff, that's when we would start building things. So I would like us to look at African businesses intersecting technology and humanity to achieve the SDG goals. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be an image. Excuse me. So an image is supposed to be, I don't know, I think it's my internet. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
great, great. I wanted to be sure because the image is gone. All right, so I would like to show some few African businesses intersecting both technology and humanity to achieve oh really. Sorry, give me a moment. I just have to refresh this. I don't know why there are a lot of images in my slide, so it's important that Moment, please. All right. So I'll just go like this, right? Okay, great. So what I show is African business intersecting technology and humanity, and and they are achieving the SDG goals. So the first one, first startup I would really like to talk about is WeCycler. So I don't know, does anyone know about WeCycler? Does anyone know about WeCycler? Anyone, please? So WeCycler is WeCycler, they are a startup, right? They're empowering social change using environment by allowing people with low income communities to capture value from their waste. So they are really about waste recycling as a social enterprise. So what they do is they go to low communities, right, and have them gather a lot of waste, and then they pay them a value for that waste, right? So up until date, they've been able to empower over 60,000 people, about 60,000 low-income earners, right, who have been able to convert waste around them and waste in society, convert them into cash, into other things that will be needed in their day-to-day lives, right? So you would see that the SDG goals that WeCycler is really helping to achieve is no poverty, zero hunger, and then climate change, looking at how the waste affects the land by emitting methane, and also life below water. So what we have seen happening, which we is other people also, other things have been able to happen because of what we has built. So there was this news that BBC aired one time like that. I was talking about a school in Nigeria. You know, in that particular locality, it was very hard for parents, to pay for their ward school fees. So what the school did was partner with WeCycler in order to help the parents pay for their school fees. So what they do is tell the parents to gather waste, mostly PET bottles, right? And then they bring the PET bottles to schools, and then the recycler will come over, they weigh it, and then they pay the parents. They are going to pay the school in the amount of the waste that the parents bring to the school. So it's a win-win for everybody. The parents win; they're able to conveniently pay for their wards. The children are in school, and then the society is safe because waste is being taken out in order to achieve the SDG goals. So please, I would like to know if you can hear me. Are you with me?
Yes,
Hello,
please. Loud
can you
and
hear me?
clear. Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah. All right, great. Okay, great. So another business, another tech business that is also doing something great, that is empowering women in tech across Africa is She Codes Africa, right? She Codes Africa vision is an Africa where women are equally represented across all career roles in technology, right? Their mission is to build a community that embodies technical growth, network mentorship, visibility among all level and careers in technology. As at date, we call She Codes Africa is proud of empowering over 1,400 women in tech, right? And we know how hard that it has been, or how unequal it has been for women in tech. If you look at tech today, there are a lot of people that are men in tech that are doing great things. But then I think for women, they've not really had their fair share. So what She Codes Africa is doing is, it's an NGO, right, empowering women in tech to be able to, do things, right. So if we look at the SDG goals they've been able to achieve with this, they've been able to achieve gender inequality. They've been able to move quality education, reduce inequality, and decent work and economic growth. So another tech business also is Ribi, right? Ribi is empowering cooperative and trade group. Currently, as we have it in Nigeria today, even in Africa, if it's safe to say, we know that there's still a lot of underserved people when it comes to financial inclusion, right? About only 40% of Nigeria, about only 40% of us has like an active bank account, right? A lot of people, especially low-income earners and the underserved and the underbanked, they depend a lot on cooperative and trade groups, right? And most of these cooperative and trade groups, they are not digital, they are all manual. And what has not really helped is that, over time, there has not been data enough to, reward those that are doing well, data to facilitate savings, data to facilitate loan and all of that. So what REBI is doing is they build a digital platform for cooperative and trade groups. They help these members access financial services like savings and loan through our platform. And what they'll be able to achieve in the long run is come 5-10 years from now, when financial institutions would need data of these people in order to in order to see if they are credit worthy. Now, REBI already has a platform that has their data over time, So in the future, if a financial institution needs to access a particular underserved markets or unbanked markets, REBI can actually just give them access to data. So the bank do not need to really fear about the credit worthiness of some people. So this is what REBI is doing. So they are trying to provide livable income, lifetime saving, and then help those using them own a home. And we see that the SDG goal that they have been able to achieve with this is reduce inequality and decent work and economic growth. Next one I really discuss about is Green Era. So Green Era was one of the startups that got accepted into the Forbes Digital Accelerator cohorts, just like my company. So that was where I got met the founder. What they are doing is like really very interesting. What they are doing is transforming how to access electricity, right? So their model is this simple. What they do is they look at community that do not have electricity, or an area that are underserved with electricity, and they would create a crowdfunding project in order to power the community or power the area, and they will put it on your platform, and those that are interested would invest in powering that community, and they would do the project for free. They are going to power that community. They are going to light up the particular area, and those people in the community will pay in a very low, very small amount of money over time, like in perpetuity, until whatever facility they build runs out. And what's in it for those that invest is, over time, like for a long period of time, they would be earning a lot of money. So it's like a win for a lot of people. It's a win for the community. It's a win to the society because it's clean energy. And also for those that invest into, it's a win for them in two ways, because they're actually enabling and empowering lives. And also they would they are going to earn their money back over a long period of time. Right? So we say that the SDG goal that you are driving here is affordable and clean energy, climate action, and sustainable city and community. Right. So and the last one I would like to talk about is my company, Corpreneur. So what we are doing is driving financial literacy, inclusion, and economic growth. So I would like to say a little bit more about myself and how the company really started out. So thing is, I finished school. That was 2016. That was when I finished from university, and then right from my phone level days, from theory level, phone level, I was really I've been a software developer then, and then I already got a paying job. I already started working for a startup. So immediately I graduated, I had to travel down to Lagos, and then continue my job. And I was made the team lead for the project that I was working on then, and that was Produce Technology, right? So after working with a company for a year, I moved on to freelance for 2 UK company remotely, and after those while, I've done I've not done my service. I've not observed my service here those while. So I had to say, okay, let me go to observe my youth service here before going back to my paid employment, right? But immediately I got to camp, one of the things that struck me when I was interacting with most of my colleagues was that while I thought I had it figured out during school, immediately after university, I had a job and everything like that. I knew exactly what I wanted to do because I was skilled at programming and all of that. I noticed that a lot of people at a particular point in time, prior to the service year, they really do not, they really do not have an exact plan to what they want to do with their life. Really, they're just going with the flow, like, oh, I'll graduate and then I'll go look for work, right? So that really struck me, right? And then most of the time they would start deciding from the youth hearing a motivational speaker or something like that in camp. They would now decide, oh yeah, I want to save during my service year to get my master's. I want to save to start a small business. I want to save. And the funds that we have, the allowance for our service here, as a lot of people know, is very small. It's not a lot. So the idea came to my mind that how can I help these people really achieve their goals, right? And then that was how Copino was given birth to. So my aim then was to build a platform where youth can collaborate, share ideas, and then they can help each other, and also they can do rotational savings, whereby when someone wants to do a project, we can all invest in order to both social capital, both finance in order to grow this person project in order to also contribute. And that was how Copino came out. And over time, we've been able to iterate and then pivot into different things, right? And currently, what I also notice is that it doesn't only apply to core members, also applies to undergraduate too, because if you look at university graduates right now, or if you look at youth right now, we are currently financially excluded from loan, and that's because you can't graduate today and say you want to start a business and walk up to a bank. They would not. That's like you have zero chances, right, of getting a loan, right? Even small business have zero chances or very slim chances. Not talk of undergraduate with no creditworthiness and all of that. So build financial literacy while you are an undergraduate, and even if you are a graduate, and over this time, while you are saving on our platform or investing, you will have been able to build your creditworthiness, and in the long run, we'll be able to partner with financial institution that will be able to give loans to this particularly excluded set of people, so they would be able to do or achieve things that they want to do over time. And you would notice that if you look at the generation before us, it probably took them about 20 to 30 years in order to build their pension life, in order to build insurance and things like that. We want to cut down the circle, and we want to educate Nigerian youth area, right? Nigerian millennials area, in order to be able to be financially empowered, right? So currently we are focused on two areas. We have two products on our platform. We have personalized finance, where we help people, millennials, automate their savings, we help them invest more. And then we have wallets, right? And then we have dedicated mobile accounts, and this is where they can make their expense like pay bills and things like that. And on the other hand, we have Copino for Business, which is to help millennial small business owner move their business online for free, and be able to reach customers beyond their network, right? And earn more money. So the SDG goals that we are really driving are no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, and decent work and economic growth. So the question I would like to ask us is how do you think as a person? I would like to ask yourself how can you, as a youth, as a Nigerian, how can you accelerate SDG goals using technology, right? Because from what we've seen now, from what I've discussed right now, we've seen that technology alone is not enough. And then the business have showed us, and the startup and technology startups have shown up, have been startups that have really looked at how the pain point of day-to-day life, and how we've been living a day-to-day life, and how we can make it better and align with the SDG goals. So how can we also achieve that, right? So how would you intersect everyday life with technology, right? So one answer I would like you to give you that I can say on the part is that an entrepreneur looks beyond himself. All these businesses, if you look beyond yourself, you would find out that you would start generating, you start seeing ideas, you start seeing where tech can actually intersect with day-to-day life. Thank you. I would like to take any questions you have, anyone for me. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and or view my website. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Oluwafemi, and thank you for the good things you do for the youth of the country using technology. And that was quite concise, your presentation, I mean. Thank you. I've not received any question in the chat box, but I have a question for the two of you, and I think Sam should go first. We are in a new world now, no doubt, and I'd like to know, what do you think we should start doing? What should be our reaction to the new world we find ourselves in advancing the global goals? Sam, are you there?
Sorry, my apologies for that. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, very well.
Yes, can you see me as well, or is that, I think my can, oh, give me one moment. Can you see me okay now?
Yeah, we can see you. Did you get the question? I should repeat.
No, sorry, if you can just repeat that, I was struggling with that.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
So I said we found ourselves in a new world. COVID-19 has changed the way we see our world and the way we do things. So towards advancing the global goals, towards achieving the global goals, what are the things we should look forward to as youth, and what are the things we should start doing in the new world that we find ourselves?
Yeah, so I think that is the question, which is that how will COVID-19 impact the global goals? And I think it takes a lot to open that question. And in fact, I mean, I went through some of the impacts that it already had through the explanation I provided before, but I think there is no doubt about it that COVID-19 is going to threaten the achievement of the global goals and the SDGs. It is certainly going to make life a lot more difficult for us to achieve those goals. In part, that's not the whole picture, but in part because of finances, the fact that the world is going through an economic recession and things seem to be getting worse. We are going to have significant challenges because financing is a critical component for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, but it's not the whole story. So the COVID-19 pandemic has created some really, really big gaps in the development of the Sustainable Development Goals. But as I mentioned before, it has also brought or created a situation where some of the ideas which previously were not as popular or were not as easily implementable have come to the forefront of the global community. So this, I think, is a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to capitalize on these ideas and be able to, you know, going back to the slogan, build back better. And as I said, right now, it is a time for us to mobilize around some key ideas, which is that the governments and the business community and universities should focus on the green technologies. We should give priority to universal basic income and social protections. We should bolster the healthcare system. And most importantly, we should ensure that sustainable development education is embedded across the entire educational system, and in particular, so it can enable people to respond to challenges more effectively, at the same time be able to shape a more sustainable future. As young people, we can act as advocates, but also as the leaders of this innovation transformation. Why can't we be the ones who actually create the technologies which can then be scaled and create new jobs and help the economic recovery. Why can't we be the advocates for effective communication of information, so that people are aware of the consequences and issues associated with the pandemic, are able to take the right approaches? Why can't we lead campaigns which encourage people to change their behaviors and take the matter more seriously? I think there are countless opportunities. And I think there are lots of young people out there who at least have an idea of, or at least have a very, I would say, a good understanding of the problems in their communities, by equipping them with some overview and some understanding, basic understanding of the way this also is playing out in other parts of the world, essentially exchanging some knowledge with them. By giving them some training and tools, I think that we can put them in a position to be able to impact change. For example, the Local Pathways Fellowship, which is an SDSN youth program, it's a global one. We have right now more than 150 fellows in cities across, I think, more than 100 countries. And in essence, what they've all done is they're building solutions in their cities to effectively deal with COVID. That goes from prevention, it goes from responding to the pandemic, providing PPE, protections and things like that. So I think there are a lot of wonderful opportunities out there, and I think we should be able to capitalize on them. And here, I think SDSN Youth Nigeria and the network can play a very, very important role.
Great, thank you. And we give you assurances that we are not just here, but we are doing something. And it's one of the reasons why we've organized this, just to look at what we can do as youth, Nigerian youth, in advancing the global goals. Thank you very much, Sam. Femi, you might want to take it up from the technology perspective. What are the things to expect as youth?
Yeah, really.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I would really like to jump on that. So I think I'm more optimistic, really. So, really, the pandemic has caused a lot of things, a lot of outage, right? But then, just like World War II led to creation of United Nations, IMF, World Bank, and present World Order, and also the 2008 financial crisis to also change the financial regulation, right? And also as 9/11 led to global war on terror, and then government lent out to IT security, surveillance, and tight airports and all those things. So my prediction is, COVID-19 would change the world, and it would lead our leaders, our governments, and everyone to look at how we can actually, in the future, prevent such a thing from happening using technology. In education, would place more focus on how to ensure that most institutions are able to reach out to their students online, even if not totally online. Would also, our government also, we've seen our government and other leaders and also NGOs, you see them putting more finance and funding into healthcare system, technology and healthcare system, right? So just so you know, there's this 17-year-old boy, can't remember his name now, 2019, December 2019, he built a platform where, and it is regarded as the most trustworthy platform giving data on COVID-19 reports across the world, right? That was even before the government built something like that, before the government really knew what was hitting us. They were not prepared for that. He already built something like that, and he was 17 years old. And he was offered, $80 million to actually place advert on it, and then he turned it down and refused, right? This is show us that there are a lot that youths can really do with technology in order to achieve all these things. And we'll see that soon, when employers are putting job outs and then people want to apply for jobs, one of the requirements that people will really be asking for is, are there remote culture in place for me before I come to the organization and things like that. We see that really in place, and we'll see a lot of jobs coming out when it comes to product development, project management, because now a lot of teams will be working remotely, and a lot of projects will be coming up, and then there'll be a lot of opportunities in that area. So what I really encourage us as youth to do is we should take advantage of online resources that are free, right? We should try to get certified in courses like project management, project development. And if you think you don't have flair for programming, you could also create your own, whatever you do, you could also create your own online course, because now people are more pushed to do courses online now. People are more, because over the last 3 months, a lot of people have been going to their structure or traditional educational institution. So they've been forced to go online. They've been forced to see how online learning is. So you see, like, a lot, the space is getting bigger. So if you already have some skills, you already have some thing, you can actually move into teaching and learning online. And then there are platforms like Lambda School that would actually train you if you want to become a tech person, if you want to become a programmer or developer. There are platforms like Lambda School that will train you for free over the course of 6 months, and then they will help you land like your first job, right? And then after you land like your first job, that's when you start having to pay back the institution. So these are things that will be seen over time.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, I want to appreciate Femi and Sam for giving us their time and making us have a wonderful day here today. I'd like to welcome the country manager of SDSN Nigeria for a brief wrap-up and closing remarks. Mr. Femi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Buluaga. I would like to appreciate the organizers of this program, led by the network manager for SDSN Nigeria, Mr. Mutiu Hambali. I also want to appreciate on behalf of the director and the leadership council of SDSN Nigeria, Professor Labode Bukola, everyone who participated. I'd like to appreciate the panelists, Sam. We like to appreciate Femi. Thank you so much for that, for those incisive thoughts. Just to do a little bit of recap of what's been said so far. The first speaker spoke on the SDGs, a pathway for youth empowerment and decent employment. And he highlighted the fact that we all are vulnerable to the health and economic challenges that COVID has presented, bringing about a disruption in the way we live our lives. But in equal measure, there's been a whole lot of opportunities around COVID that we can leverage on as youths, especially because youth are associated with idealism, with so much of energy, which we can all leverage on to achieve synergy. And talking about synergy, what we get from synergy will be greater than what each of us can bring to the table individually. So it talked about acting aggressively, acting early, being honest with people. And this comes from the efforts government and other goodwill individuals are supposed to bring to the table. And youth inclusive. It talked about a particular study in which Joseph Stiglitz participated in at Oxford University alongside other researchers, talking about the fact that one of the most effective and quickest ways to bounce back economically is through green jobs. And this will mean de-emphasizing the use of fossil fuels. I'd just like to move on to the second presenter, Mr. Femi. He talked about youth and technology, a symbiotic relationship for achieving the SDGs, and he highlighted a key statement by Steve Jobs, talking about the fact that at the heart of real development is an intersection between humanities and technology. And he went on to highlight 5 Nigerian companies, or will I call them youth-led enterprises, that are practicalizing this initiative, that is, they are driving development through an intersection between humanities and technology. They have competencies in the financial services sector, in waste management, in renewable energy, basically. I think his company also has an expertise in one of these areas. And the long and short of all of this is that as youths, what we can bring to the table is creativity, the idealism, the energy that we have. But we can't do this in isolation. So we need to work together, empathetically, working across cultures, working across disciplines, working across different fields to ensure that we find a lasting solution, not just to COVID, but we are able to achieve sustainable development goals and bring lasting development to the societies that we all live in. Thank you once again for the rapt attention you paid to this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Femi. Thank you for giving us a summary of everything we've learned here today. Someone is asking for your slide. Oluwafemi Alofe, I hope you give us the permission to share it because I understand we have it here at the Secretariat.
Okay, yeah. I just dropped the link to my slide.
Okay, good.
I just dropped the link to my Google slide.
Good.
Yeah, I'm also going to put it on my LinkedIn page just shortly after this meeting. But then that's the link.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I want to believe it's been great value for your time. It's been great value for the data you've invested in dialing in and joining us today. We want to appreciate you. And if there's anything you're taking away from this webinar, it is that we as youth, we have the creativity, we have the passion, and we have opportunity to come together to collaborate in synergy to advance the global goals, the sustainable development goals that has been made for every one of us. I want to once again on behalf of the SDSN Youth Network, Nigerian Youth Network, appreciate you for being a part of this. I hope that you stay safe, you stay productive, and you stay healthy wherever you are. Once again, thank you. And we follow up with correspondence after now. And I also want to encourage you to link up and connect with one another on the available social media platforms. Some can be seen on Twitter, it's on Instagram, and I'm sure it's on LinkedIn. I want to encourage you to please engage these people that are actively working around the global goals from countries around the world. Thank you, everyone. It's bye for now.
I want to buy like 4.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you so much.
Amazing session here. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye everyone.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Oh.